What is good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode here of the Lakers franchise. In today's video, we're going to be tackling the trade deadline. Let's hop into it. Alrighty guys, so just before we get started, I just wanted to put out a huge thank you to everyone. I've been seeing a lot more love recently, and it's only a few comments here and there and a few extra likes, but to a small channel like myself, I really appreciate each and every one of you. You guys are awesome. So that said, if you do want to leave a like or a comment, I would really appreciate that. But without further ado, let's hop into it. So in today's video, you can see in the top right, we're actually starting off on Chicago, not on the Lakers. So that is because, as I said in the last episode, I've gone through every single team and seen who should be buyers and who should be sellers. And we're going to follow through with that today. So Chicago is the first team up in the pecking order. So if we go over to team intel, this is before I touched anything. They're selling. They're 16-38. They're the last team in their conference. They're not good. They might even be the worst team in the NBA. So I've decided to sell Zach. We're going to say he requested a trade because he's finally fed up. Same with DeRozan, because why would you keep DeRozan and not Zach? So we're going to trade those two guys. Lonzo's still 26 at an 85 overall. So in the game of 2K, I think it makes sense for them to sort of keep him and build around him. They still have Patrick Williams. Trading those two guys away gives him a chance to start. And yes, I have already gone through and written down some trades for everybody that I like. And I will be trade overriding these major trades because 2K never lets you get back as much value as what would probably be realistic. But the first move here is going to be sending Zach LaVine to Philly. They're a contending team and they want to buy in. So Tobias is going to be there to make the money work, but don't worry, he's on the last year of his deal, so it's an expiring contract. Just going through and doing this, I actually noticed Derrick Rose is on Chicago again, so that's awesome. We'll let him stay there. So it's going to be something like this, these two guys, just to make the amount of players work. So they're going to get back Tobias, he's an expiring. They're going to get this Jalen Warney guy. I don't know, I'm assuming this is a real guy in the 23 draft and the name has just been changed, so forgive me. He's 21 years old, 6'6" point guard. He's got a few badges, 72 overall, so he might be something for them. They're also going to get Jaden Springer, who doesn't really play much for them. So, I mean, he's also probably not a bad option in the minutes. He has gotten about 3 points. And then also a unprotected first round pick from this draft. We'll also do a second round pick in 2027. I don't really know how much Zach LaVine would go for, particularly next season. It's an interesting thing because he can shoot the lights out when he's on and he's super athletic. He does get injured a little bit. So I don't really know. I think that's a fair enough price, especially because they're going to be getting rid of DeRozan too. So we'll go ahead and do that. It's been declined, but that is the first trade we will be making. All right, and then for DeMar, we're going to do this trade. We'll call Furkan part of it as a 3-teamer or something. Basically, DeMar is going to Memphis because they're a contending team and they're buying to get over that hump. They're just behind us actually in the standings. So their unprotected pick this year, it's not going to be super valuable. They're going to get this Nikolai rookie who hasn't played yet. He might even be a two-way player. And then they get Zaire Williams. He's the sort of main young player in this trade and the reason why they're only getting one pick. Dylan Brooks and Luke Kennard there to make the money work. Luke has 1 year and then a team option, so they can decline that. They will have to bite the Dylan Brooks deal, but he's still 28, and in this universe, he hasn't been terrible. So they might be able to flip him in the offseason for an extra asset or something like that. So we'll go ahead and make this trade. I feel kind of iffy about it because I'm not sure which haul you could consider the better package. I'd say they're probably getting more for DeMar, and I don't know if it would go that way. But Memphis, I think, just has more assets in terms of young players to offer than Philly did. So we're just going to go ahead and do that. We can just say Zach wanted to go to Philly, I guess. That sort of makes sense. So we'll go ahead and make this deal. We'll say yes to that. Cool. Zach is going to play small forward for them in Philly. So that backcourt defense might be questionable, but man, would it be fun to watch. And then you still have Embiid providing paint defense. And now they have a pretty nasty top four. They have Gallinari starting at power forward. Just looking at this, I think the only center they had on their roster was Mike Muscala. So that hurts them a little bit. They're not trying to win games anyway. They just want to get a high pick. So, I mean, they did sign John Isaac on the low, so I guess I'll go ahead and make him their center. Not ideal, but I think John Isaac could potentially run that if he was healthy. So now, good, it looks like they have decided to start Patrick Williams, 6-man, Dylan Brooks, then Zaire Williams. They still have AO, who might or might not be there, probably won't be there in real life in the next couple of seasons. But I think in 2K, he definitely makes sense to keep. Caruso in real life, they would also get an asset 4 or 2, but in 2K, he's just not that valuable, I don't think. So he can probably stay on the roster. He's pretty much on the last year of his deal anyway. They can decline that if they want to. Derrick Rose is still there, which is cool. They get to keep Dalen Terry. They also got Jaden Springer, and Kobe White's still there, but he's injured. So now I'm just going to make sure their development gets on track. We're going to lower Dylan Brooks' shot tendency and touch tendency, which is kind of funny that it's that high We're going to up Patrick Williams for them. He should probably be their number one option, him and Lonzo. I'll do something like that. Lonzo can go up a little bit, but he is a pass first guy anyway, so it doesn't matter too much. But we can up his touches to about an 85. And then we can also up their new young assets. I mean, this isn't going to matter too much because I doubt this series will get far enough to see their development. But just for the sake of argument, and then we can lower these guys as well. And then when Kobe White comes back, we can up him too. Cool. So that's it for the Bulls. Going into the deadline, they are going to be rebuilding. And that is how they're going to look for the rest of this series. We saw all the young players they got. They got that pick from the Grizzlies. They got that pick from the Sixers. So they have a ton actually of first round picks this season, which is perfect for them. Exactly what we wanted to do. So on to the next team. The next team is the LA Clippers. This one hurts me a little bit. Obviously one of my LA rivals, but it's sad that they couldn't get the job done. And I have some interesting ideas in mind for these two guys, so let me get those up for you. And I will check in with these teams sort of towards the end of the season too. All right, so this one might be a little controversial, but the first move is sending Paul George to Dallas to help Luka. And I think he's low-key the perfect player to put next to Luka. Now, the issue was trying to work this out in a way where we could get the money to work. And I still think I want to let them keep Christian Wood. He's a lot better in 2K than he is in real life. I mean, he's good offensively in real life, but I feel like in 2K, his defense isn't that big of a deal. So if we do this trade, that would give them a big three of Luka, Paul George, and Christian Wood. You can play PG at the 2 or the 3. So then you would have Jalen Green, and they would trust Jalen McDaniels at the 4. They also have JaVale McGee. So, I mean, it's kind of a gross roster outside of the top 4 guys. But they do get off the Bertans contract a year early. It is a team option though, so the Clippers can decline it. Maxi Kleber's got 3 years, 11 mil. But if I go through the rest of the deals this team has, I mean, you can see Christian Wood's contract doesn't make a whole ton of sense. They would most likely want to keep Jalen McDaniels, and then none of those guys are really making adequate money. So we would also give up their unprotected pick this year, and then we could do something like top 5 protected in 2026. And I think at this point in PG's career, he's got basically 2 years left. I would imagine he opts into that, assuming he regresses. But he's still good. He's averaging 22, 5, and 4. So I think this is a decent trade. 2 picks I think is reasonable. All right, so I had to rework it a little bit. We've also thrown Jaden Hardy in there just because I thought with these guys' contracts, they need at least one young player they can get excited about. They also get a couple of first-round picks, as I said, top 5 on the second one. And then these guys are just there to make the roster space work. I did have to go into the Mavericks and sign Seth Curry just out of free agency because they didn't have enough guys on their team. But we will go ahead and accept that. And let me just go ahead and make sure this works for the Mavericks. So Paul George stays the same at small forward, but Josh Green actually goes up. So we'll do that. And then I guess Jalen McDaniels is going to play their 4 spot. He does go down a little bit, but I don't think that really matters too much. Then we can save that. So let's see how the new look Mavericks are. They got Luka, Paul George, Josh Green, Jalen McDaniels, and Christian Wood. And now Seth Curry's actually their 6th man, who I just picked up out of free agency for them. You can see Fontecchio is getting some minutes in the trade, JaVale McGee, and Raul Neto. So, I mean, outside of their top 3 guys, they're kind of disgusting, but it's better than what they were. And giving Luka a little bit of help can go a long way. So now for the big dog, Kawhi Leonard. I'll be back in a second. And he's going to be going to Miami for Tyler Hero. Now, if you just look at their overalls, it doesn't make sense, but Kawhi's badges and he turns it up in the playoffs, even in the sim, so they are buying up. And I also think it means they wouldn't have to give up as much for him. Okay, so reworking it a little bit, we get Kawhi, Drummond, and Drew Timme to Miami for Tyler Hero. They have to eat up Duncan Robinson's contract. It's pretty much got 3 years left. But they are getting 2 first-round picks, as well as a 19-year-old point guard, and of course they get Tyler Hero. So we'll go ahead and make that one happen. Now, yes, I know it's not overly realistic to have this many major trades in one deadline, but it's our last season, I think, so I want to have a bit of fun with it. And this team, we did get some younger assets, but they still have a ton of bad contracts. The Duncan Robinson one, the Tim Hardaway one, that's got 2 years left, 3 years on the Duncan one, 1 year on the Bertans one. They signed Doug McDermott, I guess, or they traded for him for 13 mil, but that's an expiring. Okay, so most of them are actually expiring. It's Maxi Kleber, Tim Hardaway, and Duncan that suck. They still have Bones, who's young too. So now it's Bones, Tyler, Tim Hardaway, Batum, Zubats. They still have Terrence Mann as well. Jaden Hardy too, which is nice. And then these other 2 young guys, they obviously had Jason Preston. And then Kai Boswell, They can decide to put in the G League or they can decide to play him later. It's really up to them. But that is the Clippers done. They have now sold. All right, so surprisingly, the next team we are making moves for is Phoenix. You can see they're terrible. They're 20 and 34. Currently the 13 seed. And this one doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me why they're that bad. But I think we are finally going to move on from Ayton. And it's going to be more of a depth move. So they're going to get Brook Lopez and Jeremy Grant from the Blazers. He goes over there. They're starting to rebuild. Dame's getting old. And this is going to lead into another trade that we have planned. So we'll do something like this. Ayton and Shamet. Shamet's technically on the last year of his deal. He's got the 2 team options, so they can definitely decline that in Portland. Buddy Hield's a slight upgrade over him. And it's definitely more of a depth trade. So we'll go ahead and make that one. And as I said, that is the first of 2 trades. This leads into the next trade. We're moving Chris Paul all the way to Washington for Bradley Beal. Now, this one doesn't make a whole lot of sense, apart from if you consider how many years Bradley has left on his contract with big money. Chris Paul's technically on the last year of his deal. You can decline his team option. And then because Washington is heading for a rebuild, they will also get Harrison Ingram and Darius Bazley, who are a little bit younger. We'll go ahead and give them Phoenix's first round pick next year, just in case, because their record's already so bad this season. I think that would be unfair. And then we can also throw in 2 second round picks because, I mean, Bradley Beal's contract could be viewed as a negative. So we'll go ahead and make that trade. I know I'm definitely going to annoy some people, but that's okay. We override Darius Bazley's no trade clause. So now I'm going to make Devin Booker the point guard. He does go down 1, whereas Beal doesn't, but he's averaging a ton more assists. And this also makes a little bit more sense if I show you Beal's stats. He's actually still averaging 29 points a game this season. So hopefully this makes them a little bit better. Now they're looking like Booker, Beal, KD, Jeremy Grant, and Brook Lopez, with Buddy Hield as their 6-man, Jock Landale, Torrey Craig, and Tristan Thompson. They can always go ahead and sign someone in free agency. You can see Chris Paul is now starting in Washington. All right, so now 3 teams left: the Blazers, the Kings, and our team. We are sort of linked to both. You can see we played the Blazers in our last game here before the deadline, and this is the man I'm thinking about. I put out a poll, and most people voted, of course, for Dame being the guy you trade for when you want to win a championship. I probably should have explained I was talking about this series. Lapse of judgment on my part. So I guess it would make sense to go out now and get Dame because they've got Ayton. So we will have a look. I will try to do these first legitimately, see if 2K accepts it. Otherwise, I'll do the same thing, and we can move forward. And then obviously we can see the second option there would be De'Aaron. So it might be that they don't actually get anyone sold, which I'm not too upset about because they're not good this season. Because you can see they're still very young as a team in the game. So if we don't decide to go after De'Aaron, I'll just leave them be. I guess it doesn't make sense to have every team look completely different after the deadline. I do want to have some fun though, as I said. All right, so turning off trade override, and I have to make sure I do not have control of any of these teams because it will offer me too good of a deal. So let's go ahead and do that. Now I am skeptical of doing this because we're 39 and 16 and we just won. You might say, oh, it doesn't make sense trading for Dame when you've got such a good thing going. You can see the Grizzlies did make a buy now move. They're right on our tail. And then in the East, I believe the Hawks were still better than us. And to be honest, it's more so just for my own entertainment because I would love to see Dame in a Lakers jersey. So let's go ahead and see if we can make this happen. Seeing Ayton there's kind of crazy, but hey, they got Ayton, Sharp, and Simons. That is not a bad young trio, man. I'm not going to lie. Obviously, getting Dame off them would open up more minutes for these guys. We can make Anthony back to their point guard. I guess the big thing for us, this is why we paid D'Angelo all that money, so we could match him up with a deal like this. Now, the question is going to be, how many extra pieces do I have to give up to get out of here? Because obviously, I would like to keep Anthony Black just because he's our guy. So I'd do something like Rocco. We still get 200K more than allowed. Beasley's got 2 years on his deal, but he is 27 still. So I could do something like this. Obviously give up that second round pick. I would give up our unprotected pick and see if they agreed to that. They say no because that's fair enough. And we could do our pick in 2028. They still say no. With Max Christie, they don't like him either. I'm assuming they don't like Anthony Black too, which is interesting. I could get the De'Aaron deal done relatively easily. They just want to pick. Obviously, I would give them a little bit more than that. But then at the same time, you know, now Universe D'Lo does play a lot better than he does in real life, but I would still give them something extra. You know what? It is my video. I'm going to have fun with it. I'm going to go out and get Dame. We will throw back on trade override so I can make a deal that makes sense for both of us. And we'll say he requested a trade directly to the Lakers, nothing else. Portland is like, you know what? He's our guy. He's been so good to us. We're going to be good back to him and give him what he wants. That's going to be the reasoning behind it. I will give them Rocco as a part of the deal. See if I can do Gary Harris instead. He's on a much more friendly contract. He's just on the 1 year. So they would get that. Would like to keep Anthony Black. Actually, instead, I will give them Max Christie just so it makes a little bit more sense. I'm not as attached to him as Austin and Anthony Black, weirdly. They're per 36, 15 and 7, 40, 30. He's a 75 overall at 21, so he could definitely be something special for them. That maybe makes a little bit more sense. So they get 2 young players. They get D'Lo to make the money work, who is on a 3-year deal for about 30 going up to 40. But at the same time, he's 27 years old and Dame's contract is still worse. And then we'll go ahead, give them that 2nd round pick, give them our 1st round pick this season, and give them our 1st round pick in 2028. So I'm going to do it, man. This might mess up the team. I don't know. It usually does when I make trades like this. But I'm going to do it, man. Screw it. So Damian Lillard is now part of the Lakers. We have a big 3 of Dame, LeBron, and AD when he gets back. He's still injured. I do actually have to check that, though. Okay, so he's only day-to-day, which is good. Obviously, Rui's out for the rest of the season. So with that done, we will be dropping back to a 9-man. So now we've got our guy Dame here in LA. I'm so excited about this, man. That is probably going to be the last trade of this series ever. So I guess it doesn't matter too much, but I will go ahead and turn off trade override. So forgive me if any of these trades annoyed you guys, but I want to have fun with it too. So now we have a legitimate big 3. The other thing I was scared of was if I traded for De'Aaron. I don't know if it matters in 2K, but the fit, I just had Russell Westbrook PTSD. Now, obviously, De'Aaron isn't Russ, and he can shoot better than Russ can too. His decision-making is better, but at the same time, I didn't want to risk it. So Dame with his, I think, 40% shooting from 3 it was, 43%, fits us very well. The only other issue is we've gotten even older now, trading D'Lo for him, so that's all right, man. Let's go ahead and keep it moving. We'll have fun with it. That leaves us with a 9-man. I guess it gives us more minutes for Anthony Black. He can definitely play more minutes than Blake. We can probably actually give him 25. He can be our 7-man. Thinking back, I probably shouldn't have picked up Blake out of all the options, but I think the name got the better of me, and we are LA ultimately. So we're going to make Gary Harris a small forward where he goes up to a 78, even though he's probably the smallest small forward in the NBA. That's okay with me. So we'll go ahead and do that. So now our lineup is Dame, Reeves, LeBron, Vando, AD. We'll have him off the bench. We'll have Malik. We'll have Anthony Black, and then we have Gary Harris. So we did get a little bit of depth back there. Of course, Rui's still injured. So I think we've done a really good job building this team, man. And then, of course, let me just go ahead and make things right because I do want this to be a 2-way deal and we don't just rip people off, even though, I mean, I don't know. I think that was a reasonable enough haul. 2K just was never going to accept that. So let's go ahead and fix them up. Now they do have another guard. Didn't really think about that. That's fine. So we will go ahead and make Shaden a small forward. We can make Anthony the point guard and D'Lo the shooting guard. I think that probably makes more sense. He does have those combo guard skills anyway. So we can go backup point guard, backup shooting guard, backup shooting guard. Isaiah Thomas is on the roster. That's kind of funny. So let's see how this starting lineup looks for them. They have Anthony D'Angelo, who's actually on fire, so that's good for them. Shaden Sharp, he's up to an 80 now. Nasir Little also gets to play, which is exciting, a 6'5" small forward. They have DeAndre, and Max Christie's going to be their 6th man, so our guy gets a bigger role. I'm happy for him. There's Shamet from that other deal, but they can also decline that very quickly. They have Derek Whitehead too, so that's going to open up some minutes for him. Keon Johnson's still there, he's getting minutes, and I'm going to make it a 9-man, so Isaiah Thomas is not playing. Shot tendencies, we can go ahead and put Anthony probably up to a 90 because he's going to be the guy moving forward. We can move Ayton up to an 80 so he doesn't get upset. D'Angelo, now that he's on this team, we can probably lower that just a tad, maybe to 78 or something like that. Shaden Sharp, we definitely want higher. We can up him to about a 80. Actually, maybe even a little bit higher than that so he can score a little bit more than Ayton. And then we definitely want to up Nasir for them to about a 72. All right, cool, man. So that, I think, works out for them as well. Obviously, D'Lo's contract, I probably should have only given him a 1+1. I didn't think we'd be able to get Dame for him, but obviously we went the trade override route. So he spends 1 year in LA again, gets a championship. He spends about a year total in LA for the 2nd time. And then this is what their team looks like. I know this doesn't make sense, but it's whatever, man. I'm having fun with it. So let's go ahead and do our team selection. Go back to our Lakers and simulate past the trade deadline, man. Last offer before we go is Delano Banton for Jared Vanderbilt. No, thank you. And let's say no. All right, man. Hopefully this doesn't make us instantly bad. First game against the Kings, who I didn't end up making a deal with. Anthony Davis is fully back. Let's just fix that. It's a beautiful sight, man. Damian Lillard, Austin Reeves, LeBron, Jared, and Anthony Davis. Now we have a bench of Malik Beasley, Mo Bamba, Gary Harris, and Blake Griffin. And when we get Rui back, that's a solid 9 to 10 man bench. Anthony Black actually isn't even getting minutes now, so we'll go ahead and make it a 10-man again. He will definitely be getting those Blake Griffin minutes, so we can do something like that. First game against the Kings with our new guys. Austin Reeves is out. That's fine. It's only 1 to 2 weeks. So let's see. In his first game as a Laker, Damian Lillard with 13 and 11. Hey, he shot 50% from the field. Not great from 3, but we did actually blow them out that game. I can see why they wanted to blow up their team. Sabonis, not very good. All right, man, let's simulate through these 2 games as well. So these teams both made moves, so we should beat them both. They were both sellers. Monty Morris, how did Chris Paul do in his first, well, not his first game as a Wizard, I would imagine, but first game against us? 6 and 8, 3 for 9. Okay, Monty Morris was actually better off the bench, so I guess that's whatever. There's Darius Baisley. This also gives Johnny Davis more opportunity to prove something. Cam Whitmore, Miles Turner. So not a whole lot going on there. I think most of their deal was for those picks. Then our next game here against the Clippers. So of course their new lineup, Tyler Hero's there, Doug McDermott, Batum, and Zubats. That's so disgusting. Let's go ahead. Hopefully we win this game and we actually destroy them. Tyler Hero, 20 points. He was shot chucking. Damian Lillard, there it is. 36, 6 and 9, 9 for 13 from 3. LeBron with 24, 7 and 9. Malik with 22 off the bench. Anthony Davis with 18 and 9. 20 for Vando. Sheesh. Even Blake, 8 points, 4 rebounds, 50% from 3. Anthony Black, 13. I love it, man. So let's go ahead and just get through the All-Star break here. Austin Reeves is back too, which is nice. Gary Harris was cold. So he's still a little bit injured, but he can play. So he does have some rest here. He's fully healed. Go ahead and have the CPU do that. I might honestly sim to the playoffs from here, to be honest. That was actually a close game. Beal, he's on a new team. He's still an All-Star. And then Damian Lillard, all-star for the Lakers technically, 16 and 5. There's LeBron. And I believe we said AD didn't get it. He didn't shoot well, but I don't think AD got it. That's fine. Let's go ahead and keep simming. All right, and because we did make some moves and gave up some players, we do actually have to sign someone from free agency. Imagine if I brought back THD. That'd be kind of funny, or even Josh Hart. No, unfortunately, we only have a minimum. Hopefully I can get someone decent here. I'm definitely going to try to push my luck. Dario Saric might accept it. Let's see. He actually says no. Wow. Okay. Not leaving me with many good options. I should have adjusted the salary curve in this universe, but that's always risky too. We could just bring back Wenyen Gabriel, who I guess just didn't get a contract after we let him walk. You know what? I will take a chance on Eric Pascal. Let's give him a deal. He might even get some minutes for us eventually if somebody's injured. Geez, Gary Harris is not playing well. I won't be giving him those minutes off the bat just because I want to keep Anthony Black in our rotation. He's been really good. So we can actually even change it around so Anthony Black's getting more minutes. I wouldn't even mind if he played 20, in all honesty. I mean, I'm probably overrating him, but I just love the idea of a 6'7" point guard who can defend, especially if he's got reps come playoff time. I mean, per 36, 16, 5 and 8. 3 turnovers, 43%, 30% from 3. So he needs to stop shooting threes. That's all good. So we can keep it moving. Austin Reeves is frustrated. I'm not entirely sure why. Maybe he's fallen out of the pecking order. Let's see what his shot tendency is. Austin Reeves, I mean, he's at a 70. I can up you to a 75, my guy, if you like. And I think just because they've got his playmaking so bad in this game, I'm actually going to go ahead and raise it just a tad. I think that just makes sense because it's kind of annoying that he can't even make passes when in real life you see what he's doing. He's actually a very good playmaker and his ball handling is definitely better than that. So it doesn't really change his overall. I mean, he's up to an 80, but he was upset. So that's probably why. Then I'll just up his pass vision to about a 65. So you can see he goes to a diming 3-level scorer. In real life in the playoffs, he's currently putting up about 5 assists. In the game, he's giving us 1. I don't like that, man. I mean, I can lower his attributes just a little bit so it doesn't have diming in his name, because I don't know if you would say that about someone who's averaging 5 assists. We'll just drop that to a 63, but he should be able to get a few assists at least. And then hopefully he's not as upset about that anymore. So he's still at an 80. We didn't really raise him too much. And that's it. I haven't really given him any playmaking badges. So at least he'll just be a little bit above 1, which I think is realistic, and then he's sort of just turned into a 3-point shooter for us. But I think this is the formula, man. This is a really good 3 players to put around LeBron and AD, and I guess Dame's part of that now. 40% from 3 for Vando is phenomenal. I guess now that we have Pascal, Blake Griffin is the odd man out, because I still want our guy getting more of these minutes. We'll go ahead and give him maybe 18. All right, and now we can keep moving. Right, I just had a look at the tendencies. That's fine. 95 shot for LeBron, 90 AD, 85 for Dame. He can be more of a playmaker for us. We've got the Kings again. We do beat them again by 5. LeBron, De'Aaron, and here's Memphis. Okay, so this one is interesting. Contract extensions. I mean, I'll have a look. There's not really any point because we're not doing another season after this. And we don't have anyone. We're going to extend anyway. I feel like you never do in this game. So let's see. Hopefully DeMar's healthy. He is. So now they have Ja, Desmond Bane, DeMar, Jaren, and Steven Adams. That's really nice. I don't think I'll play this game because we might actually see them in the playoffs if we go over. They are still the 2 seed. Okay, let's go ahead and simulate this game. We do beat them. Okay, so Dame's just on another level. Ja 39. DeMar's 28 on good efficiency. Cool, so he's still good. Here's the new look. Blazers starting Anthony, D'Angelo. Derek Whitehead is starting, so I don't know if Shaedon Sharpe is injured or they just decided to change it. And Trendon Watford starting at the 4. I'm not mad at that either. And there's Ayton. I will simcast this one because I think it would be fun to play against Dame's former team. This might be a bit of a longer episode, but I'm okay with that. And it looks like we're actually going to blow them out, which is realistic because they're such a young team now. We beat them by 29. Dame has 28, 5, and 6. There's something in the algo, man, that makes these dudes play well against their former team. LeBron didn't really do that much, and we still destroyed them. D'Lo against us, 17, 1, and 5. He was their best player. Anthony, 15. He struggled a little bit. And Shaedon Sharpe is injured, I guess. So let's have a look at what our guy did. Max Christie, 9, 4, and 4. He didn't shoot particularly well, though. So that hurts them a little bit. And just to confirm, we are still on 55 simulated difficulty. Here's the Clippers again with their disgusting lineup. Let's go ahead and see. We do win. So have we lost since we got Dame? 23, 26, 35 for Hero. So there's his bounce back game. So if we go back up to the trade deadline, which I believe was February 15th because we just played the Blazers. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We're on an 8-game winning streak with Damian Lillard. Let's see. LeBron is out day to day. So let's have a look at this. I think he can play through it. He's down to a 90, so hopefully it's okay. Against the Spurs, we beat them as well. So we're on a 9-game winning streak with Damian Lillard. We put a few games between us and the Grizz. Here we go, playing the Kings again. LeBron's back, which is nice. I have to keep an eye on this because it loves taking away Anthony Black's minutes, and I guess it makes sense because of the overalls in the game at least. But in our sim, I definitely want him getting those minutes. So let's see. I always check this team. We didn't really do anything with them. Kind of wish we had, but they're still so young. I mean, even if they aren't good this year, there's a chance they bring it back next year. I think we're on a 10-game winning streak. This is not a drill. I mean, what did I expect? We got Damian freaking Lillard on the roster. Dude, if that happened in real life, I wouldn't shut up. Okay, but we do go against OKC. Didn't make any changes for them, but they're still really good. We beat them as well. Holy crap. 21, 6, and 12. That makes me wonder. We are better than the Hawks now too. Only by a half game, but we are better than them. So, see what happens there. Beat the Pels. We actually destroy them. CJ 15. Dame going against CJ gave him 32 and 8. And now here's the Bulls. Lonzo, Kobe White's back, Tobias Harris, Patrick Williams, and they picked up Naz Reid from free agency. I love that for them. Hopefully they can keep him around. We can see Dylan Brooks has improved his shooting efficiency a little bit since he's been coming off the bench, and he's averaging pretty much the same amount of points. That's not too bad, and there has been seen a couple of Dylan Brooks to Chicago rumors, which is interesting to say the least. Zaire Williams is here. They've decided not to start Luke Kennard anymore, and I don't blame them. And see Zaire with a little bit more opportunity. He's been phenomenal. 7 points on 50, 36, 74 splits. Good for him. And then that's more or less the guys they got in their deals. So I think that's looking pretty solid for the Bulls, honestly. You get more minutes for Patrick Williams. He's shooting well. Lonzo, 14, 6, and 8 on good efficiency. I mean, we should beat them, hopefully, but yeah. Dude, we're insane. That might have been unfair. That might have been a trade Adam Silver needed to veto. All right, the Warriors, another team I looked at to buy for Bradley Beal, but it didn't make sense because him and Poole, I feel like at this point, very similar players. We beat them too. Holy crap, 24-21. There's the Clippers. Here is an interesting one against the Hawks. We lose to the Clippers and AD's out 4 to 6 weeks, man. Not now. Not now, man. Don't do it to me. And LeBron's out 1 to 2 weeks. Okay, so now it's up to Dame to carry. What happened here? I guess Bones, Tyler Hero. Dame had 29 and we still lost, so I was excited to go against the Hawks. Now we're just out. I mean, AD can still play through it, which is good. Gary Harris is our starting small forward. Sheesh. So I guess at least AD, he's the long-term one, but he can play through it, which is nice. He's just going to have a mask on. LeBron has a $0 player option there in year 3 if you saw that. But the good news is he will be back in about a week. So I guess just for these games, I don't want to start Gary Harris just because it says he's that cold. Maybe we do something like this. So we'd have Dame, Beasley, Reeves at the 3, Jared Vanderbilt, and then Gary Harris off the bench there. All right, so show me, did they make any moves by themselves? Trae Young, DeJounte, they didn't. They're the same team. So I guess, I mean, they're probably going to beat me. We actually beat them, okay, by 5. That's huge. 29 for Dame. He was the right move, man. No, probably not the most realistic, definitely, but it was super fun. Day-to-day, LeBron can play now, which is good. He wasn't out very long at all, but him and AD are both injured. I guess that's the risk I took. We actually get destroyed by the Pels because Zion's back, so that's a little bit scary. LeBron's fully healed. You love to see it. More durable than AD at 39, 40 years old at this point. That's crazy. So here we have the Grizz again. We'll simulate this one. They do beat us by 2, which fair enough. DeMar with 21, 5 and 5. He's been good, man. 25 points, 4 and 4. He's not shooting the 3 ball, which is a little bit scary. But at this point, he's shooting 43%. That's not the end of the world. Against the Mavs here, who have Paul George. And it just hit me. I don't know if we've seen Kawhi yet in Miami. So Paul George here in Dallas. I mean, that's not the worst looking starting lineup. We'll see what happens. Luka's pretty good, but holy shootout. 37-31 for Paul George. So he's been good next to Luka. I mean, his 3-pointer fell off, I guess. Yeah, getting Dame probably wasn't fair for the rest of the league. Let's see, Philly here. They have their new guy in Zach LaVine. That's a really good starting 5 outside of Danilo Gallinari. So let's see. Beat them by 7. Jeez, dude. I don't know what to think, man. All right, so let's go to this Suns game here with their new look roster. Anthony Davis is fully healed for the playoffs. Let's go, dude. Love to freaking see it. And then I really need to do something to make sure they don't take those minutes away from Anthony Black. I don't even know if he's being good or not. I just want him to get the reps, and then we can see if we want to play him or not in the playoffs. So let's go ahead and go down here. Then obviously we'll check in on the other teams too. Dude, we have been elite. We are 59 wins. I mean, the Grizz are right there, so that DeMar trade did make sense. 60 wins, 61 wins. All right, so here is the Suns. I'm curious to see what their record is. That is a much, much, much better looking starting 5 for them. And then I think Portland is happy too, right? They got 8 and they got some picks. A couple of other young players, I think. So let me just check. We can actually do it this way. They've moved up to the 12th seed, so I believe they were lower than that. We have 61 wins, which is kind of crazy. Do we win? We do. Because Damian Lillard is just the perfect fit for us, I guess. And here is the last game of the season against this new look Blazers. Dame going against his former team here in the last game of the season. And you know what? I am going to be stupid or petty, I guess. And I'm going to sit everybody for this last game of the season because we can technically still get those guys some more rest. So let me get Dame out of there. Let me get LeBron out of there. And let me get Anthony Davis out of there. So we can do something like this. I'll give it Anthony Black 35 minutes. We can play these last 2 starters just very few minutes. And then the rest of these guys can get some burn. All right, so we can do something like this. A little bit ridiculous, but why not? So let's go ahead and sim this game. And of course we get blown out because of the changes we made. But that's fine. Luka is MVP. Vic is Rookie of the Year, averaging 19, 9, and a block and a half. Russ is 6-man because Hornets picked him up for whatever reason. Mobley, Claxton, JB gets Coach of the Year. So that is the Hawks head coach. But I believe we had more wins, or that might have been the tiebreaker there. And I just gave it up, but it doesn't really bother me. So, do we have any All-NBA players? Second team, we do have LeBron. 22, 8 and 8 essentially on great splits. That'll get you that far. Jimmy's there for the Heat. I don't see Kawhi. Vic makes it as a rookie. That's so stupid. And then do we have our guards? We don't. And no Anthony Davis, I guess he was injured. Do we have him on all defensive second team? We do. And LeBron, so that's kind of crazy. No all rookie players. Okay, so we are the 1 seed. We went 62-20. So we had the exact same record as the Hawks and the Cavs. And the Grizzlies are right on our tail. So maybe I should have not sat that last game if we make it to the finals and have to play them. They have the tiebreaker. Then it might not look good. They finished 8-2, so did we. The Cavs finished 9-1. Sheesh. They have... I mean, we're much better than them. I assume they have a ton of injuries. But I think we are still the best team in the NBA. So now, let's go ahead and sim the play-in. We have the Rockets in round 1. Then you've got the Pelicans and the Nuggets. OKC, Golden State. There is Memphis with their new guy. The Heat did make it as a 6 seed with their new guy in Kawhi. Philly made it there with Zach. I think they actually might have climbed a seed or maybe dropped one. I can't remember. But either way, I think they are a little bit better. So before I forget, let's go ahead and do this. But can I just see their stats for the last game of the season? I'm curious since they all got so many minutes. So we lost 75-108. But Anthony Black with 21, 6 and 9 on 8 for 19 shooting. That's pretty good. Reeves with 0 points in 20 minutes. I guess he was just out there because he had to be. 12 points for Bees. Vando with 13. Mo had 6 and 17. That's pretty good. Gary Harris with 9 and 2. Eric Pascal with 4. Blake Griffin with 5 and 8. That's solid on 50% of his shooting. 5 and 0 there. So let's go ahead and get our starters back in there. I'll go through our guys' stats quickly, and then we can go through the rest of the teams we made changes for. This is going to be a long episode, man. Dame ended up with 23, 4, and 8 on 50, 40, 90. Let me check. We can go through his split stats. We'll just say since All-Star because technically that's around the time we would have gotten him. So 23, about 4, 8 assists on 54, 45, 92 splits. Thank you, Damian Lillard. That was definitely the right trade. Austin Reeves ended with about 12-2. He got his assists up, which is pretty good. Only up to 2, but that's all I needed. 45, 36, 93. LeBron, we saw, of course. Vando, 11-7 on 36% from 3. I'll take that. AD's up to a 95. 21, 11, and 2 blocks on 50% from the field. Mo, technically our 6-man, 9 and 7 with a block. Not shooting the greatest. He probably takes a ton of threes. Malik, 12 points on 49%. I'm glad we kept him. Gary Harris with 10 and 3 on 42%, 37 from 3. And then Pascal, we picked him up out of free agency per 36, about 11 and 5, 41%. He's not great from 3. I probably got to lower that tendency. And Anthony Black with about 17, 5 and 8, 44. I'm going to be playing him in the playoff rotation over Eric Pascal. And then obviously if there's an injury, we can reassess that. But we're going to go ahead and do something like this. Make this a 9-man. We still have Darvin Ham, which is kind of funny. Reeves is up to an 81. Everyone's up 1. LeBron's still a 98. Christ, man. I mean, Pascal does have an 83-point rating, but he was not shooting them particularly well. So, yeah, at a 79, we can drop that to about a 60, I guess. All right. So, let's go through these standings and address these teams that we made changes for. Come to think of it, I'm a little annoyed. Maybe I should have made those guys play that last game. But at least the teams with the tied record are in the East, so they would have to make it to the finals. I guess so would we, but they'd have to make it to the finals for the tiebreaker to matter. And we might even have it, I'm not sure, to be honest. So you can see we pretty much dominated our conference. We're elite at home, pretty much unbeatable, and we're still really good on the road. We destroyed our division. We put up about 119 a game, which is good. 110 allowed. We have a differential of 9. I guess we did lose one game there at the end of the season, but not really. You guys know how that went. So now looking at my list here, we had the Clippers, the Mavericks, the Blazers, and the Suns here in the West that we made changes for. And the Grizzlies, I'm not sure if I said them. So we sort of saw what they did. Is DeMar injured? Oh man, DeMar got injured right at the start of the playoffs for them, dude. That sucks. I mean, that's out of my hands. I can't really do anything about that. Let's go ahead and check their roster. How long is he out for? 2 to 4 weeks. Okay, so I assume they can still make it out of that first round. They have Minnesota. They can probably still win that without DeMar, and then he can come back. It's not even for the whole series anyway, so I mean, who did they have? 79. It's basically Edwards, and then, you know, that team's not great in the sim anyway. So that's fine. I mean, they finished 57-25 We kind of saw what DeMar did for them. About 22, 4 and 4, 50% from the field. I did consider giving Beal to the Nuggets too, but their roster looked so solid and they had Gary Trent off the bench. I didn't really see a reason to do that. And the Blazers made the play-in tournament. I didn't even catch that. They lost both games, but they did make it with that new lineup. That is a freaking W, man. We got what we wanted. We're really good. Obviously, we're probably the best team in the NBA. But they made the play-in with that young roster, man. D'Angelo Russell with about 16. We'll probably look since All-Star for these guys. So he gave them about, just say 17, 2 and 6 on 48%, 36%, 80%. That's elite, man. They got more playing time for Anthony. So 21 points. He got his assists up as the point guard, which is nice. Rebounds about the same. His efficiency went down a tad, but it went up from 3, so I guess they take that. Shaedon Sharpe was back too, which is awesome. About 18 points, 4 rebounds, 1 assist. 18 is low-key very good. 50% and 46 from 3. No, that's elite. I'm not going to lie. And then Trendon Watford, since All-Star, about 9 points. DeAndre Ayton, how was he for them? So he averaged 21 rounding up, 15 rebounds, and 1 block, shooting 53% from the field, 31% from 3, 71 from the line. That was a freaking W trade, dude. It made us really good, and they're still good and competitive, but they're young, and they have picks. So that does make sense going both ways. That makes me so happy. Dallas with Paul George made it as a play-in team. I didn't even see what happened there. They got bounced in the first game by Houston. Sheesh. So I guess, that wasn't any loss for them, really. They gave up a couple picks. They improved by getting Paul George. I don't think there's anything else you can do, man. This team just isn't that good. Since All-Star, he averaged 25, 5 and 4. His efficiency went down a little bit, but come on, man. And then the rest of their guys there. Right, so the Kings were the 11th seed. And we obviously didn't make any trades for them, but they're still young. The Suns finished at 12, but I think they were a lot better than what they were before that. They did end the season on a 4-game losing streak. They finished 3 and 7, so maybe not. But I would think that one full season under their belts and that extra chemistry, they'd be pretty decent. You still got D-Book, you got Brad, you got KD, you got Grant, you still have Brook, you still have Buddy, you still have Landale, you still have a little bit of depth there. Karis LeVert they picked up as well, which is nice. So I think with one more offseason, they can definitely be better. Clippers are the worst team, which makes sense. Tyler Hero. But they are exactly where they want to be with their young assets. Even Zubats got hurt, so you can see they finished the season tanking. Just thinking about it, I think that pick would actually go to OKC, which sucks. But they were terrible anyway, so their pick was going to be high for them regardless. So at least they were able to get some young players and extra pick equity to replace their own. So I guess that one's a bit tough. I probably missed that, but it is what it is, man. We're the same division record with the Hawks. I just noticed that. It's kind of funny. We can see Philly with Zach. How was he for them since All-Star? 22.5 points, 5 assists, 4 rebounds is nice. 50% from the field, 37 from 3, 80 from the line. That's really good stuff. And they ended on a 3-game win streak, 6 and 4. So that's pretty good for them. There's a gap between them and the 3 seed, which hurts them a little bit. It's not the end of the world. I thought about making some moves for the Knicks too. That's fine. Kawhi's playing the 4 for them since All-Star. Sheesh, he's averaging 17, 4, 6 assists though, so 40%. He's not shooting well from threes. He's probably turned into more of a playmaker for them, but he is going to step it up, I would imagine, in the playoffs. Then they have started Vo, Josh, Jimmy, Bam. They did get Drummond. They still have Omar. They have 3 backup centers, 4 backup centers. Jesus. And then Jovic, who's a 6'10" power forward. Okay. So their guard play off the bench is pretty much non-existent, but 2K does love big, so you never really know what's going to happen. And then here are the Wizards with Chris Paul. Since All-Star, he did about 10 assists, so I guess that's pretty good. He didn't shoot great, but he's getting the younger guys some good looks and letting them develop. Johnny Davis, 18 points since All-Star, 46%, 37% from 3. You'll love to see it. Cam Whitmore, since All-Star, his points went down a little bit, but he still put up 18 on 40, 24 from 3. Yikes. And then Denny, since All-Star, about 8, 4, and 5. They got Miles Turner for whatever reason. I just didn't touch that. He's still 28. They can do whatever they want with him. 10 points since All-Star. He's only got this year and then a player option. And then the Bulls finished as the 14th seed with their guys. We saw Patrick Williams. Tobias Harris, they actually started at center. I guess, I don't know, is John Isaac injured? That's probably most likely case here. No, he might be. It looks like Naz Reid might be as well. Zaire Williams looks like he might be hurt as well, or maybe he's just not playing. I don't know. Since All-Star, he gave them about 13 points. So I guess the Clippers era with Paul George and Kawhi was pretty much a failure. But it happens, man. It happens. So getting into this, we're doing it without Rui, which hurts a little, but it's not the end of the world. So going into it, next episode, in the first round, we're going to have the Houston Rockets, who have Spencer Dinwiddie, Jalen Green, they signed Miles Bridges, Jabari Smith, and Alperen Şengün. Very good young team, but our big three is just, I feel like, going to crush everybody, and then we have really good supporting pieces. You can see Denver already went up 1-0. OKC went up 1-0. Memphis went down 1-0 after I was saying they could do it without DeMar. Ja had 39, but it was not enough. Cat also had 39. The Hawks win their first game, Trey with 33. They're going against the Raptors. Philly wins their first game, and Zach LaVine has 13, 7, and 7. Not a terrible game, Embiid with 35. And then the Heat win their first game against the Celtics. 28 for Tatum, 32 there. Where's Kawhi? 15 and 4. Okay, so he's definitely going to need to step it up. And you can see Cleveland down there. So hopefully you guys did enjoy. As I said, that one got a little bit crazy, but sometimes you just got to have fun with it. I tried to make the trades all fairly realistic. So at least in our universe, they kind of made sense. And some of them did actually end up being really good two-way win-wins. So hopefully you guys did enjoy. As I said, super long episode. We had to do it every now and then, so I'm sorry about that. But if you guys did enjoy, please remember to leave a like or a comment, whichever one you prefer. I'd really appreciate both, and I really appreciate everyone that watches. You guys truly mean the world to me. I love you guys. So I will see you guys in the next video. We'll be taking on the second-year playoffs, going against Houston, and trying to go back-to-back. So until then, I'll see you guys later. Peace out.